So with it being the eve of NBA free agency, there's a lot to talk about on today's Golden State Warriors Today. But before we unpack all of the latest news and rumors around the Dubs, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're coming across the show for the first time, we give you insightful, entertaining, informative content on the Golden State Warriors. At this point of the year, we're cooking up videos every single day. We've done some live shows and some watch parties as well, which have set records here at Chat Sports. You see the figures here to my right. We're 145 people away from 57,000 subscribers. I'm challenging Dub Nation. Can we get there with this video? Hit that sub button if you want to stay informed on the Warriors. And with that, let's start the show. This is Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for being here with us. Let's begin today's show with OG Anunoby. An interesting report came out yesterday on Wednesday that the Golden State Warriors, in the lead up to the NBA draft, had called the Toronto Raptors and they wanted to swap Jordan Poole for OG Anunoby. Now, the Toronto Raptors didn't think that that was equal value, getting Poole and sending away Anunoby, who's a very good two-way wing. But could this mean that the Golden State Warriors could once again call the Toronto Raptors and change what the trade package might be? Could the Warriors trade away a Jonathan Kuminga and a Moses Moody? Maybe even get a third team involved in these trade discussions, because clearly, if they called the Raptors and they offered Jordan Poole for OG Anunoby, the interest is blatantly clear. They want OG Anunoby on the Golden State Warriors. Tim Kawakami, longtime Bay Area sports writer for The Athletic, saying this: one of the Warriors' calls, I'm told, was to check with Toronto about a proposal centering around Poole for 25-year-old forward OG Anunoby, but the Raptors were not interested. It's easy to see why the Golden State Warriors could be interested and enticed by the idea of bringing in Anunoby. There might be a positional clash between him and Andrew Wiggins, but a very good two-way player who's a little bit of a more efficient offensive player than Andrew Wiggins. You look at his tallies over the last 4 years, and the development that has taken place has been very, very impressive. The Raptors and the Miami Heat, as well as the Golden State Warriors, some of the best organizations in the NBA at grooming some of these players here. Anunoby in 2019-2020 averaged 10.5 points per game, 5+ rebounds, and a steal and a half per night. You fast forward to what he did just 3 seasons later this past year, and he averaged 17 points per game, 5 rebounds, almost 2 steals per game, 47.5% from the floor on more shots, and he's a pretty good three-point shooter as well. OG Anunoby, a name to keep an eye out for Golden State, because clearly the interest is there. So be the general manager. You're in the shoes of Mike Dunleavy Jr. here. Would you trade for OG Anunoby? Again, Kuminga, Moody, you might have to get a third team involved to make the money make sense, because Anunoby recently signed an extension. T for trade or P for pass. Now to some Warriors news here from the best reporter covering the Warriors, in my opinion, and Anthony Slater of The Athletic. The Warriors have opted to extend a $1.7 million qualifying offer to Ty Jerome, Virginia legend, before today's deadline. It makes him a restricted free agent. What this means is the Warriors can match any offer that any other team offers Ty Jerome. Lester Quinones, also two-way qualifying offer extended to him as well. By the way, NBA free agency, another reminder, starting tomorrow. We'll be live on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Hope you all join us. Now let's shift gears to this. Everybody has been asking for the Golden State Warriors to sign a center in NBA free agency. I agree. One of the biggest needs on this roster. So we're going to take a look at some center free agent targets here on Warriors Today. Let's begin with some of the big ballers, and we've kind of put these players together in categories here, and we talk about Kevin Love. We've talked about him on the last couple of shows, and over the last couple of weeks, I think he's somewhat of an interesting target for Golden State. Certainly almost done with his NBA career. He's getting a lot older. With the Miami Heat, 7 points per game, almost 6 rebounds. He shot under 39% from the floor and sub 30% from three-point range. But in the NBA playoffs, he did get some minutes, he got some run, and the three-point numbers did increase. Floor stretching big who can knock down some threes and has a bevy of NBA playoff experience. Now let's go to Christian Wood here. Wood is going to cost a lot more than Kevin Love. He's a lot younger than Kevin Love. He stretches the floor, though, like Kevin Love and can knock down some three-point shots. Production for him has been very, very good over the last 4 years. He spent this past season with the Dallas Mavericks after Dallas decided to bring him in. He was able to put up 16.5 points per game, 7 rebounds. He shot 51.5% from the floor, sub 38% from three. He got a lot more playing time the season before with the Houston Rockets prior to that acquisition and that trade. And with more playing time, of course, the numbers were a lot better. Double-double per night, 39% from three. I like his game. I think he might be a little bit out of the price range for Golden State. Like I said a little bit earlier, we'll be live on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel for the start of NBA free agency, and we'll be live on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel all throughout the weekend. Every single move that happens, we're literally going to be talking about them, and of course, we'll continue to talk about all the Warriors' moves that they make, the players that they bring in, but the players that they lose right here on Warriors Today. Brook Lopez, very popular player for a lot of people who watch this program. I've seen all of you talk about him in the comments section. Like Christian Wood, might be out of the Warriors' price range here. But if they can maneuver the cap, pull off some financial gymnastics to a certain degree, he could be a target, but I would say it's highly unlikely. Why? Because he's turned himself into one of the most viable and valuable big men on the open market in free agency. Very good defensive player, and the evolution to his game has been crazy. This is a guy who came out of Stanford playing alongside his brother, Robin Lopez. Robin never developed a three-point shot. Brook Lopez has developed a three-point shot. 37% from three. Very good rim protector. Was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. 16 points per game, almost 7 rebounds, 2.5 blocks. It was him and Jaren Jackson, I thought, as two of the top defending bigs in the NBA. Of course, in that category with Joel Embiid, but I think a team is going to give him a fat price tag. Now, Nikola Vucevic of the Chicago Bulls did sign a deal worth $20 million per that could give you some insight as to what Lopez could get. So I think he's a dream candidate for a lot of you watching the show. Sign Brook Lopez, type S for sign, or D for don't. Sound off with what you think down below in the comment section. Now to Dwight Powell. Much more affordable player here, operates out of the pick and roll, has turned himself into a very valuable player, playing for the Dallas Mavericks, and I kind of like his fit on this team, on top of the fact that he's not going to deserve a massive money bag. Just shy of 7 points per game last year, 4 rebounds, about an assist per night, 73% from the floor. And I think he would be the beneficiary of playing alongside a Steph Curry, a Klay Thompson, a Draymond Green, and he could start for you or be a very high-end backup behind Kevon Looney. Mid-range talent here. Jakob Poeltl, playing in the two-man game with Fred VanVleet last year for the Toronto Raptors, very efficient player, was traded to Toronto after spending some time with the San Antonio Spurs. 13 points per game, 9 rebounds for the Raptors last year, more than a block per night, 65% from the floor. A very good and heady basketball player. Shout out to the Aussies. Mason Plumlee. We talked about him a couple of days ago. I think that this is a viable option. It's a realistic option. If he wants to chase a ring, the Golden State Warriors give him a good opportunity to do that. A trade deadline acquisition for the Los Angeles Clippers. He was playing a lot for the Charlotte Hornets. His minutes went down, but don't let the lack of production or dip in production sway you from the fact that as a rotational big, very, very solid player. Not going to stretch the floor like a Lopez, but he can give you very, very efficient and productive minutes. So if you were to pick a big between Jakob Poeltl and Mason Plumlee, who would you go with? JP for Poeltl, MP for Mason Plumlee. Alex Len, another player here who is intriguing because of the price tag. He has not lived up to the expectations of being a high-round pick in the first round, but a solid player nonetheless. And then Mike Muscala, I think he's washed. I was watching him in the playoffs play for the Boston Celtics. He was struggling to move around. and he just looked uncomfortable with this lower body. His numbers last year, while playing with the Oklahoma City Thunder, 43 games, 14 and a half minutes per game, 6 points per game, 3 steals, not bad, and then 43% from the field. He can shoot the three-point shot. Now, I don't think that on this Warriors team, because of the roster construction, the talent on it, you want him playing more than 15 minutes per game, but 10 to 15 minutes per game, maybe he could give you that JaMychal Green production. So with that, let's ask you this. Name a player that you think the Golden State Warriors should sign here in NBA free agency. And then we go to the bargain bin players. We talked about Brook Lopez. Robin Lopez would be a lot cheaper. Blake Griffin was pretty much out of the rotation, getting DNP'd for the Boston Celtics, but very, very cheap guy who will probably just be a practice player at this point and give you some energetic minutes coming off the bench. His decline and how precipitous has been wild. DeAndre Jordan, the same can be said for him. Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, members of the Lob City Clippers, who at this point really can't play any longer. Cody Zeller did get some minutes for the Miami Heat. That was more because of the situation in Miami. Outside of Bam Adebayo, they did not have a center that they could turn to, and Cody Zeller, they went to him because they needed to go to him. 5 to 10 minutes per night. That's all I need from him. He is a liability on both ends of the floor. Don't forget, subscribe to our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. We'll be live for the start of NBA free agency. And of course, subscribe to us here on Golden State Warriors Today. We've continued to cook up some fantastic content, and we ain't stopping soon. We're going to keep that train moving.